Audiobooks in veterinary medicine in step with the reality of the multilingual world. Didactic process. Introduction. In the didactic process, quick and easy access to a quality database creates the prerequisites for the student's acquisition of the knowledge necessary to successfully pass the exams, on the one hand, and on the other hand, the use of this knowledge in the activity, for which it will be licensed, as a specialist. Institutional platforms created as databases, with non-negligible costs, require major investments in hardware, software, and often quickly collapse, due to the large number of users, as well as due to the large volume of information that must be stored on these platforms. The lack of optimization of these platforms, so that they can be used by the end user, from any device, as well as the cumbersome way of entering information into the platforms, make these platforms unusable, to be avoided, both by teachers and by students. The emergence of departments with teaching in other languages is a real challenge, in generating informative materials, courses, in native languages of enrolled students, but also in offering the possibility of having easily accessible course materials, and practical works. Moreover, the teacher's role is minimized, and perceived as a banal reader of slides, in another language, a fact that causes frustration and dissatisfaction on both sides involved in the teaching process. Materials and methods. For the more than 7,000 resulting slides, detailed explanations were written, which proved useful in the case of photographs, graphics, and schematic slides. Later these explanations were processed with one of the many electronic reading programs on the market, and explanations were added to the presentations. At the end, all these presentations in PPT format, accompanied by voice, in the three teaching languages, respectively Romanian, French, and English, were transformed into movies, with MP4 format. Since the processing as well as the large number of photos and movies added to the PPT format generated a large volume of information, difficult to store on an institutional server, as well as to be easily used, accessed as a database, all these movies have been posted on the YouTube site, each film of each presentation having an access link, which can later be posted and distributed to the end user, the student. In order to characterize the usefulness, efficiency and evolution of teaching materials, the entire palette of statistical indicators, made available by the YouTube channel, was used: content, traffic source, geography, cities, age, gender, date, subscription status, subtitles, device type, operating system, and distribution service. In parallel, a student satisfaction form was used to appreciate the true value of the teacher-student interaction, as well as the possible changes that need to be made to meet the didactic needs of the students. The period analyzed in this study was 2021 to 2023. The data, collected, processed and interpreted statistically, can easily be built into trend lines and forecasts for the following time periods: 2023 to 2033. Results and discussions. The efficiency of a teaching system depends on continuous adaptation to the requirements and everyday conditions to which it is obliged to respond to change. In order to characterize the usefulness, efficiency and evolution of the use of didactic materials, the entire palette of statistical indicators, made available by the YouTube channel, was used. The 72 practical works were viewed, in a chosen standard period of 365 days, 7,966 times for a total of 624 hours, and recorded a total of 132,233 views. For each of the 72 works, there is a separate record of the time spent on the presentation, the click rate and the exact date when the films were viewed. Figure 1, Figure 16. The student survey were based on questions developed for use in the surveys on course experience in higher education carried out as part of a Tempus project. Although there have been several assessments of the classification of satisfaction issues into the three main themes, and these have provided a statistical basis for groupings of issues over this survey. Our data are based on the results of the 04-2022 to 04-2023 survey. This is the most representative and complete sampling year. The data was prepared by combining the three groups: students at the teaching departments in Romanian, English and French languages, who completed the module. While the individual satisfaction averages of these groups they are slightly different, we find that completers of the modules display similar response patterns. Conclusions. The statistics of views reveal a significant increase in them, and a maintenance of a constant level of views, throughout the 365 days studied. Significant spikes in views, well above the daily average, were seen before exam sessions, as well as before the announced tests on practical papers. Accesses of the posted materials, being made during holidays, and even on days off, such as Christmas and New Year. Accesses were also made, when the students were away on vacation, in their countries of origin such as Algeria or France. A significant number of users prefer the accumulation of knowledge, through mobile phones, with the Android operating system, but also through computers with the Windows operating system. The processing of materials, with the help of electronic readers, transforms the teacher from a reader of slides into a guide of the student's preparation, at the same time facilitating the crossing of the language barrier, and ensuring the unaltered, accurate transmission of information. The presentations that use electronic readers standardize the transmission of information to students at any time of the day, regardless of the teacher who performs this service, regardless of the degree of accumulated fatigue, and of his state of health.